The Season 1 Reloaded update is here, and there were many buffs and nerfs, and so I got y'all the new top 5 best guns to be using right now in Modern Warfare 3. Ladies and gentlemen, with the first gun being an honorable mention, this is the brand new HRM9 SMG. Haven't used it that much, but overall it does feel pretty good, and so this build I got for you guys has basically no recoil and a lot of mobility. So for the first attachment on here, this is a brand new muzzle that I actually recommend you guys to use on a lot of your guns. This is going to be the JAK BFB. This one adds so much recoil control without really having that many cons. Yes, we do have a slower ADS. That is going to be the biggest combo overall. Like based off all the pros that we get, there really isn't that many cons. If we look at the pros, we have a lot of recoil control, with the cons being a lot of our mobility, and then we are going to be shown up on the radar a little bit longer when you do fire your gun. Although we get so many pros that it really does outweigh those cons, this gun has a lot of recoil, and so it really is going to help you out. The next attachment we are going to be adding is going to be the Princeps long barrel. This one severely boosts up that damage range without really having that many cons, and basically for a lot of the guns in this game, since the time to kill is so long, you really do want to increase the overall effective damage range. Since we are losing a lot of mobility, we are going to be adding the hand stop to mitigate those cons. This gun does have a lot of recoil, like a lot of horizontal recoil, so at first I really did want to go over here and add the Bruin heavy support, but the ADS just felt way too slow, and so for me I would prefer not to run that, but I still would, recommend trying out the Chimera and the Bruin heavy if you can't control the gun. The fire rate is pretty fast on this new SMG, so we are going to be adding the 50 round mag. Then lastly, to bring up some of that recoil control, we are going to be adding the folding stock. So if you guys do want a screenshot of the class, there you guys go. Now for the first weapon on this list, we are going to be going over the MCW, which the MCW is going to be the most consistent overall best AR in the game. There are some ARs that kill a little bit quicker, but this one's going to be the most consistent, which is why all the pro players rock it. We all know the master cameras look amazing in Modern Warfare 3, but they take hundreds of hours to get. So if you want to save yourself some time, I would definitely check out Guapsi. Guapsi is a very reliable company who will play in your account and unlock anything you want with a very fast delivery time. They have been sponsoring me for a long time, and I haven't seen a single negative review, and so I would really check them out. I'll have their link in the description. Which the new update made it so we actually can unlock this brand new muzzle, and this muzzle is going to basically be a suppressor but built in with a recoil control muzzle with still having pretty good mobility. And so when you fire your gun in this game, you are going to be up on the radar. This is going to make it so you're not on the radar as long, which is why I say it's like half a suppressor. Then we also get a lot of overall recoil control and fire and aim and stability, which the fire and aim and stability is very important because it just makes it so it's very stable as you're firing the gun. If we look at the cons, there really isn't any cons for this for that muzzle, so we are going to be rocking that on a lot of our guns. The Cyclone barrel did just get a pretty big nerf. It doesn't give you as much damage range, which is like one of the biggest downsides of this gun, is that it lacks damage range. So we are going to be adding the Midnight barrel because this one's going to be adding the most amount of damage range. Yes, we are losing a little bit of our recoil control, but it's really not that much. And then we also get a little bit of our mobility and our handling increase. For the next attachment, we are going to be adding the X10 Phantom 5 hand stop, not just for that recoil control, but for the mobility as well, which this gun already has a lot of mobility. So at first you might think we don't really need more, but the MCW just got a sprint to fire speed nerf about 10%. This is going to bring that up by 7.5%, so we're still losing a little bit, but it's not going to be as much. So now we have a pretty good amount of mobility, recoil control, and damage range. This game does take a long time to kill the enemy, so we are going to be adding the 40 round mag. And then if you do want to add like an optic laser, maybe you want to add a stock or ammunition, I would take off the magazine, or I would take off the rear grip, which the rear grip we are going to be adding is the RB Claw, and the main reason for this is for the fire and aim and stability. Fire and aim and stability is so important in this game. You need to make sure you have a lot, plus this claw is going to add a lot of overall recoil control, making the gun so easy to use. And so one thing is that they did nerf the Regal Heavy stock. The Regal Heavy used to give you a lot of recoil control, but now this one doesn't really give you as much recoil control, and so you're not going to be seeing that many players rocking this. And then if you guys do want a screenshot of my new favorite MCW class, there you guys go. And then for the secondary I am going to be rocking is going to be the Renetti. I believe the Renetti actually just statistically is the best SMG. I mean the best pistol, which the Core 45 does kill a little bit quicker, but the Renetti is a little bit more forgiving. For the vest, we are rocking the Assassin's vest. This one's going to hide you from the radar, so then the enemies can call on a UAV and then you're not going to be on the radar. Then that muzzle is going to help us also hide us from the radar. For the tactical, we got the Stim, Semitex for the lethal, gloves, marksman gloves, which I always run these on my ARs, makes it very easy to use the gun at long range since it does reduce the overall sway, and if the enemies shoot at you, your screen isn't going to shake as much. Covert sneakers, so then it mutes our footsteps, we can run around without the enemies hearing us. Then for the gear, usually I run the EOD Pro. For this class, I really like the bone conduction. This one is going to make it so you can hear like footsteps a lot louder, and so this class is a very stealthy, good class at like medium and long range. Still can play a close range with it, but it's going to specialize in those medium and long range engagements. For the next gun we are going to be going over, this is going to be the WSP Swarm, which the WSP Swarm actually just got a pretty big buff, and I didn't think they were going to do that, but they buffed the overall damage range, which is why we are going to be adding the Ruthless L barrel. So now we're going to have even more damage range, 28% more. But before the effective damage range, I believe it was like 6.1 meters. Now it's 8.8 meters. And then there really isn't any cons with the Ruthless barrel besides that sprint to fire speed loss, but this gun already has a lot, so it's not going to really matter. This gun does also have a lot of recoil, so we are going to be adding the Jack BFB, which this one is going to, again, just mitigate all that recoil. We get 60% for the recoil gun kick, which is like the shake of the gun, then the horizontal and vertical is just going to eliminate all of that. And then to mitigate some of the cons that we are losing with the muzzle, we are going to be adding the hand stop. It's just a great underbarrel if you want to add recoil control. Again, X10 Phantom 5 hand stop is also pretty good, but I would rather have a little bit more mobility. Say you do want to be off the radar, I would add the Zem compensated flash. Then for the underbarrel, I would probably add the Chimera underbarrel, but for this class, I've been just rocking these attachments. 50 round mag, so then we don't run out of ammo as much. This gun has a very fast fire rate, so you're going to be losing ammo so fast, and it's going to really help you out. Again, if you want to add an optic, rear grip, laser, or ammunition, I would take off the 50 round mag, or I would take off the underbarrel, and then I would add one of those. Although I feel like this gun is super good without, like, you know, an optic. Just basically, this class is very good. You guys should be very good off with this class. So for the stock, we are going to be adding the Fortress Heavy. This one is one of the best attachments in the game for recoil control. As you guys can see, we're really not losing that much mobility for the amount of recoil control we get. It's going to eliminate all the recoil, making the gun so much easier to use. For the secondary, I do got the Akimbo Renetti. I like the single one a little bit more, but the Akimbo is very helpful. So this is, in my opinion, the best Akimbo Renetti class. You guys are going to absolutely love that. We got the stun on here. We got the breacher drone for the lethal. Again, all this stuff, personal preference, doesn't really matter what I'm rocking. Although the infantry vest is pretty helpful because this one's going to allow you to attack sprint a little bit longer, and it's going to recharge that attack sprint faster, allowing you to play very aggressive with this SMG. Got the assault gloves. This one is going to minimize the ADS time. Basically, when you jump shot in this game, your ADS will get slowed down. This is going to make it so it doesn't get slowed down as much, and so I really like to run the assault when I am rocking an SMG. Covert sneakers, again, just to meet the footsteps, then EOD so I can play aggressive and not really have to worry about those nades. For the next gun we are going to be going over, this is going to be the SVA 545, and they actually just buffed the SVA 545. Not too much, but the new attachments in this game really do make the weapon feel so much better. Keep in mind, if you use this gun, you need to hit the first 2 shots. That's what is going to make this gun feel very quick, since the first 2 shots do fire a little bit quicker. And then for the muzzle, since there is a decent amount of recoil and you need to be very accurate, again, we are going to be adding the Jack BFB. You guys are going to be seeing me use this on a lot of my guns, since it is a very good muzzle. Another pretty good one is going to be the Bulleted Break. That one eliminates a lot of the recoil, and again with the compensated flash, so a little bit personal preference in there as well. Precision barrel, I would always rock this because, again, it's going to increase that damage range, making this gun kill a little bit quicker. For the next attachment, we are going to be adding the Phantom 5 hand stop, just so we get mobility and recoil control. Again, this gun, you need to have very good accuracy. This is going to allow you to do so. If you do want to increase mobility, then I would add the DR6 hand stop. And then if you do want to add like a magazine, ammunition, laser, or stock, I would probably take off the underbarrel for one of those, or you can take off the optic. I don't really like the iron sights on this gun, so that's why I'm rocking the MK3 reflector. The Niner model 2023 is also a very good one, and then another one that's very popular is going to be the Slate reflector. Then for the last attachment on the SVA 545, we are going to be adding the Citadel grip. This one is going to add a lot of recoil control. You don't really need it. Like, the main part of this gun is to have this muzzle and the barrel. The rest of the attachments really don't matter, but I really like just hitting all my shots with the gun, being very accurate, and this build is going to allow you to be very accurate. And then for the secondary I am going to be rocking is the Karambit. Knives are like the best secondary in this game, since they have insane range and it's just a one-shot kill, so you can run around to get around the map a little bit quicker, and then it's actually very good when you're up in close quarters. Got the Demolition Vest, so now I actually have 2 lethals, and they're going to replenish every 25 seconds, as well as the stim. We don't get 2 stims, which, you know, we should. I feel like, you know, that would make this vest a lot better, but it is going to allow you to play aggressive, and you can just replenish those. If you do die a lot and you don't really stay alive for more than 25 seconds, then I would just run Infantry Vest or the Assassins. Munitions box, so I don't really have to worry about ammo. Again, you don't really need that, since we do replenish those lethals and things a little bit quicker, so you could also run portable radar or just one that you want. Doesn't really matter. Marksman gloves, since we are going to be using this class at range, although, you know, all these other ones are pretty good. Covert sneakers, so the enemies don't hear us. Then go, so we can be off the radar. The enemies can call in a UAV, and they are not going to see where we're at. Now, for the next gun, we are going to be going over the Striker, which the Striker did not get a buff, but the new attachments in the game kind of make it feel like it got a buff. This thing is a lot better, and I'm going to have another video on the Striker class. Well, not this class, but a very similar class for my video after this one. And so for the muzzle, we are going to be adding the Zeph compensated flash. This one's going to hide you from the radar, kind of, you know, it's a half suppressor thing, as well as add a lot of recoil control. We are losing a little bit of our mobility, but when we look at the detailed stats, you guys can see it is really not that much mobility. We are losing bullet velocity, so that's why we are going to be adding the striker recon long barrel. I kind of run this on every single striker just because there really isn't that many cons. We get so much damage range, allowing you to actually be able to use this thing at medium range, especially because we do have the Bruin pivot vertical grip. This one's adding a lot of recoil control without really hurting the weapon that much. If you want, you could increase the mobility. Like, this gun really is super easy to use, but this build is going to be good at like close to medium to long range. Doesn't matter the scenario you're in, you are going to be able to do well with this class. So sometimes, you know, if I'm on shipping, I'll like swap out some things since it's so close quarters. Then to make this thing even better at range, we are going to be adding the high grain rounds, which the high grain rounds are actually going to make it so when you kill an enemy, there's not going to be a death skull above their body. And since we have that muzzle and things, we're going to be able to be a little bit more stealthy with this class. The enemies are going to have a hard time figuring out where you're at. Then for the last attachment, we got the Lockman MK2 light stock. This one is going to increase the overall mobility. If you do want to add like an optic or something, you know, like there's a lot of variations with this build, I would probably take off the stock. A lot of people don't like the iron sights, but a lot of people like the iron sights. For me, I really like them, so I'd rather have a little bit more mobility and just use the iron sights. What I almost do is take off the stock, then add the 48 round mag, but that's only for like these small maps. For the secondary, we are going to be running the Core 45, but we do actually have the aftermarket part on here, making this thing into like a burst pistol. And this has, I believe, the fastest time to kill out of all the SMGs in the game. But if you do miss a shot, it is going to be drastically slower. So try not to really miss too much. And then to make that a little bit easier, we are going to be using the mod suppressor so we can be off the radar and the enemies aren't going to hear us. Then we got the recoil control for the stock, and then you guys probably don't care. So here is the screenshot for that. I don't know how they mess up the gun like that. It's so annoying. Tried to get that clean screenshot and then the game's like, no. So for the vest, we got infantry vest. I usually run that on like all my SMGs, stim, Semitex munitions box, assault gloves, covert sneakers, and EOD patty. Now for the last gun that we are going to be going over, this is going to be the BAS B, which before that, I just want to show you guys the tire pistol. They just added a aftermarket part for this, so now it is like a pocket sniper, and this build has a lot of range, and they just buffed and nerfed it in a way. Like, if you're more accurate, you're going to get more one-shot kills, but if you're not as accurate, it's going to take more shots to kill, which that's how it was always with the conversion kits. So this build right here, you guys are going to absolutely love it. Again, you can swap out the optic for anything you want. I just like to kind of use it as like a pocket sniper. Got these stims, Semitex, assault gloves, covert sneakers, EOD, and then we got the assassin's vest just so we can be a little bit stealthier. Now for the BAS B, so we are actually going to be running the brand new compensated flash. This one is going to make it, you know, it's just that half suppressor thing, and then we are losing a little bit of our mobility, but it's not too much, and so I really like it on the BAS B. Then to bring up some of the mobility that we are losing with that muzzle, we are going to be adding the Wolverine Respirate long barrel, which also increases that damage range, which if we look at the headshot damage, this is doing 54 damage per shot, which means we can get a 3-shot kill as long as you mix in like 1 or 2 headshots into your gunfights, which is why this is one of the most broken guns in the game. I don't really care for the iron sights, but sometimes I really do like the iron sights, and so I am running the slate reflector. Although if I were to not run the slate reflector, I would probably add the high grain rounds, or I would increase the overall mobility by adding the hand stop, and then if I want more like recoil control and mobility, then I would add the X10 Phantom 5. I used to run the Kimura underbarrel, but I just found that the gun was a little bit too slow for my liking. Then for the magazine, we got the 30 round mag, since without that, we're only going to have about 20 rounds, and so I think it's kind of crucial to run the 30 round mag. Some people get confused why I don't run the 45, but that's because the reload speed is way too slow to where I get killed a lot because I'm trying to reload, and so that is a little bit personal preference. Then to get a lot of fire and aiming stability, we are going to be adding the ST88 grip, and then we also get some recoil control on top of there. So if you guys do want a screenshot, there you guys go. That's going to wrap it up for this video, so I wish you guys the best of luck and doses.